States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we're going to start with public comment. Anyone would like to speak? You are welcome to.
Hello.
Hello.
Colleen Sousa, the art teacher here. I would like to welcome and invite everyone to the art show and winter concert tomorrow night, starting at 5 here in the school, and then at 6:30 on the stage with the concert.
Thank you.
Hollywood. I have a question, and the reason I have this question is last time I stood up here and I got very passionate and I slammed my hand and I said a lot of things that were maybe not what I should have said or how I should have said them, but they were from my heart. I'm still concerned because as a board, as an SAU office, as principals, there are a lot of questions asked that night by me. And you know what I got for answers? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And don't tell me you people don't know how to get a hold of me. That would be a crock. So I'm going to ask Christina, you're the chairperson, correct?
Mm-hmm.
How do I get a discussion, not a stand up and let myself go off? A discussion with this board, and if it includes the SAU office, that's fine. Because they seem to be running this gig.
So the best and first step should be reaching out to administration if you have a question that directly.
No, I don't wanna talk to administration.
But that is the steps. I mean, that you. Like,
No, I wanna make an appointment with you guys.
And
I wanna talk with you guys in public. If you guys need me to get on the agenda to have a discussion, I'll follow those things. I'll follow those rules, okay? But this, you guys sitting there and everybody looking at us and nodding their head or shaking their head no is ridiculous. I stood here that night and I was so aggravated when I walked out of here. Because you know what? Just like tonight, there isn't an expression on anybody's face in this room. It looks like you're all in pain by being here. It's just, I'm amazed to go into a room with all these people and there's so much to discuss and yet not a word is uttered. I've been on committees for years. People may not get along, people may disagree, but that's good. But they talk to the public that put them where they are today. They answer their questions. May not always be the answers that we want, but do you know what we're teaching our kids by you folks sitting there and not having a human discussion with us? What are you teaching the kids? To get along and work together? Are you teaching them to be respectful to someone when they ask a question? Are you teaching them to give an answer? I don't think the example is being set very well. And I don't know any other board that you go to and you don't talk to the board members or talk to the administration and discuss things. This is our school. You guys were elected to represent us. You were hired to run our schools. not run our board meetings, not tell the board, don't talk to the public. This is embarrassing that I'm sitting before you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and I'm not sure of you, dear.
I'm just here to take
As a board member. But come on, guys. When we're up here discussing whether it be me or whether it be Lacey, we're here taking our time to bring our concerns to you guys, and you sit there like a bunch of lumps on a log. And I'll tell you, it's rather insulting.
What are your questions, Paula?
Well, to start off with, thank you very much, Kelly. Has anybody seen the latest article in the Portsmouth Herald on December 12, 2023? Seacoast schools shine in the U.S. News rankings. See how they scored. Guess what, guys? We're not mentioned, but everybody else in the area is. Because, never mind we not shining, there ain't even a candle glow. There's other, I have heard so many words around it, you know, the best schools, the schools that where they rank. So I went and I looked online, and it's even more heartbreaking. We're number 86 out of 114 schools in the state of New Hampshire. I wonder where our budget ranks in that. That would be very interesting. Okay? I'm not gonna take up a lot, but math proficiency, 10%. So you got 100 kids in a class, and 10 of them are proficient in math. No wonder we're not shining. No wonder we're not shining. I don't have the answers. But our school is in the bottom. I saw the budget being gone over by the school board members. And a teacher who was taken out of the budget so that we could have, and I don't know the exact terminology, but a therapist come on the ranks. 10% proficient in math and you're taking away a teacher? That don't seem very bright to me.
Clarification that the board put that teacher position back into the budget.
And I appreciate that. Like I said, I did watch it, and I do appreciate that very much. But I'm saying this is the administration that we're supposed to put our trust into. And that's a quote from you. You put a trust into the administration that is pulling us down the bottom, dragging us down, not helping us in any way. I question everything. You don't trust anybody when it comes to your kids' education or your kids doing anything. And I wish this was the only time that I had been here, but it's not. I will be getting on the agenda to speak so that I can discuss everything. And if that's the way parents have to do it, then I think they should. We need to be able to have discussions with the board members. That's our right. There should be nobody telling anybody not to say anything. This is still America.
Thank you, Paula.
Thank you.
Kathy Rita Abraham. It's almost like Paula read my email. I haven't had a single conversation with Paula.
But Paula, basically you guys got my email. I feel the same way, Paula, because I've been up here, voicing my concerns, and I feel that, I felt that, you guys got my email. So I basically said that exact thing, that I got no response, and I honestly felt like people in my community don't, I'm not gonna use swear words, don't care that my child, is in 5th grade and 7th grade. And so I voiced that to you guys. So when I was kind of like, wow, I almost like, they probably think that we talked. And we didn't.
No, I'm sorry for
That's
taking
why
your
no.
fire away. Here.
So I just want to get up and say, wow, because that's how I felt. I felt the same way, like, no response is like, pfft, nobody cares. And I know some people care. I know that. I just don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening. I don't get it. But I had to pull my child out, and I'm teaching her core classes. And her math and language arts is 5th grade, even though she's 7th. So she's coming into school for all of her unified arts. She's doing math, health, arts, music, and gym here. But not any of her core classes, because I can't trust you guys to get her to her grade level. She's not at her grade level. She's doing 5th grade math. And let me tell you, she's not whizzing through 5th grade math. Okay? Not at all is she whizzing through 5th grade math. Okay? So you guys do something, because it's out of control. It is. And our kids are suffering. And Paula, we're not shining.
Yeah, look at this time.
Are there others that would like to speak?
Hi, Susan Marshall. I just wanted to let everybody know there's going to be a bill going through the House. And it's a bill to stop obscene, sexual, and harmful material into the schools. The bill will be talked about and open to the public in Concord on January 18th at 9:30 in the morning. And it will be voted on February 15th. So anybody having any concerns about all this material that is going through the school, and I've seen it, should go up to Concord and speak. You're gonna be allowed to take the floor and speak on what's happening in these schools and let your concerns be known. And it may not be political to you, but only 10 Republicans are backing this bill, and they've written it, and not one liberal. So that tells me where all this stands. So you need to voice your opinions and go up and start to help these kids, because they need this bill to go through. It didn't go through last time, and I was there, and we had a lot of parents talking all day. And they overruled the bill to give teachers the right to rule over your children. So you need to be up there January 18th to voice your opinion, so that this bill goes through to stop what's going on with these kids in the school.
Susan, do you know what
Thank you.
bill number that is?
Susan, she wanted.
Do you know what bill number that is?
Pardon?
What's the bill number?
I can't hear you.
Do you know what the bill number is?
Yes, the House bill number is 1419-FN.
1419?
1419-FN.
Thank you.
And it takes a vote on the floor on February 15th.
Isn't Frank?
That's what I was
So the discussion's on the 18th, but the bill voting is on the 15th. February, I should say.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
I don't know what I do. My name, Samantha Hinson. My address. Do you need that? Okay. I'm a resident.
Okay.
Okay. I have a lot that I can say, and I don't want to go on a rant, so I'm just gonna go with what someone else already spoke to. And I've reached out to the board because I had a lot of issues with my son last year. He's actually been spoken about at a lot of these meetings. That I'm really sad for the parents at home that didn't come, because I'm so happy that you have a 6 o'clock, because I have little children and can't make the earlier meetings. So that's why I'm here tonight, but I do watch at home. I've reached out to the board, and I really wanted to have a meeting to discuss in detail everything that my child personally experienced at Seabrook Middle School, and I never heard back for that meeting. And as a taxpayer and as a parent that also has 2 other small children in Seabrook Elementary School, at this point in time, I can't ever imagine my kids coming over here. I won't send them here. I've already decided they will not come to Seabrook Middle School. So I have 2 years to either buy a new house or decide to send my kid to private, because once she finishes 4th grade, she's not coming here. Because the concerns that I have, I'm still hearing about and I'm still seeing, and I never got to sit down and truly inform you guys of everything that my child experienced. And I know that he's not the only one that went through everything that he went through last year, and he continues to, or other students continue to go through what he went through still within these buildings, and it's really sad and it's heartbreaking, because I went to school here. And no, we've never been a top school, but we're not a bad school. I think I did pretty well for myself, and it just is heartbreaking that I'm gonna have to pull my 2 other children, because I will not send them. So when we do reach out and we want to talk to you and we want to let you know what's going on and we want to let you know what happened, and you don't get back to us, like that's upsetting, and quite frankly, it pisses you off, that it makes you feel like the board doesn't care about the well-being of the children within the school, because they don't even have the decency to line up a meeting to speak to a parent that has concerns. And I had legit concerns. My child got moved. I moved him. He's in Hampton Falls. So that's just how I feel. I will not send my 2 littles over here. I just can't do it with everything that I experienced and he experienced.
Samantha, I would take responsibility for not getting back to you after the initial back and forth when we had it originally, when everything happened. If you could reach out to me, it's not, I can tell you it's not personal. There have been, and it's not, I'm not giving excuses for myself, because we need to make that happen if that's what you want. But timing and meetings and extra meetings and additional meetings are a balance of when people can be here, and that again is not, I'm not making an excuse. So I would like to schedule that with you if you are still willing to do that. If you can reach out and give me some availability, then I then have to reach out to the board, get their availability, and then we can go from there.
No offense, but I think that that's a baloney of an answer, because I already told you that I am available whenever. I will make it open. I told you that. And whenever you could get a meeting, I would have a meeting. I would make that a possibility for me to be there. I feel like that same speech is what I got continually over and over and over from the administration in Seabrook Middle School last year. Oh, we'll make it happen. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. A lot of smoke and never any fire was ever done. So again, I feel like your response right there, again, nothing personal, was just something that I've heard over and over again. I said I would have a meeting. I will have a meeting. You give me a date and time and I will be there. I will make it happen. But that was never offered to me. So if you send me, you get the date, you get the time, and I will be at that meeting. Because other than what I've told you, I mean, we had issues with teachers, we had issues with admin. It was a continual rollover of nothing ever being done. My child never felt supported. My child never felt safe within the walls of this school. And that's a problem, because he's not the only one. There are still kids in the school that do not feel safe to be in their classrooms, that do not feel safe to change their classes and go to other classes within the hall, that don't want to be here because they don't feel heard, they don't feel comfortable. And that's an issue. It's an issue. And for the board to not sit down and listen to those issues or even acknowledge them, or I was told by board members that they never received any reports of bullying. I have a whole investigation that I received from the SAU about my son's bullying. So how can the board be told there's no bullying when I have a document of an investigation into a bullying incident? It just doesn't make any sense how one doesn't know what the other one is doing.
We weren't told.
Right.
At all.
Right, and that's why things won't change, is because people aren't speaking about it. It's a lot of cover up, and there's no accountability, I feel, in the schools either, because it's confidentiality. You can't know. Well, I understand it's not everybody's business, just like you can't speak about what happened with my son. I understand that. But when you have situations happening with students, and these students that are being physically violent or in school the next day or the day after, there's no accountability. And I was told that consequences don't work from a member of the administration. And I don't think that that's reality. That's not real life, because when you send these kids to high school or you send these kids to the real world, there are consequences for your action. Things do happen and are a result of how you behave. So if we're just gonna let kids behave however they want with no consequences to their actions, we're not teaching them how to be productive members of society. We're setting them up to fail. And what we're doing is causing trauma to all the other children around them, and it's really unfortunate. That's it. But if you can send me a time, I will be there.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
So I have to say that I think this is like difficult to sit here and hear this because, and I'm not gonna talk bad about my board members, I'm not gonna say who, does answer, who doesn't answer, but I think until this board realizes that they were, and I've said this 1,000 times, until they realize who they represent, nothing's gonna change. We keep hearing over and over again that people are upset with us because we're not responding, but that's because they voted us in, but for some reason, this board, and I was the same way until I finally realized that you can speak up, they're afraid to speak up. They've got it drilled in their head because people come in here, can't discuss it because it's non-public, but people come in here during non-public and basically we're not allowed to talk. We're told we're not allowed to talk. Bottom line. I'm surprised I'm not kicked off this board yet because I've said, you know what? I'm not gonna not talk. If somebody asks me a question, I'm gonna answer. And if people send me an email, I'm gonna respond. And I do it all the time, and I'm always in trouble for doing it. But I think it's because that I've been on this board longer than a couple of the members here, and I don't blame them because I was the same way. Susan can tell you that. The first couple of years I was on this board, I did not dare to speak up. I did not dare to say anything. I did not want my kids to be subjected to being singled out because their mother had a big mouth about the school, on and on and on. But the bottom line is that we're brought into this school and we're voted in to represent them, yet I just had the same conversation the other day in an email to the superintendent, like who's responsible for the same child being in the school over and over and over again. The kids are now making a bet on how many fights he can get into in 1 week without getting a suspension. It's like literally a bet at a lunch table. And then there may be somebody whose kid gets a lunch recess for being late to class, yet this same person who gets in fist fights gets a lunch detention. So, I don't know what to tell you guys. I'm being honest with you. I'm up to here. I don't know what to say. I can't, I've emailed, I've responded to emails, I've lost my mind. I'm at the point now I'm drained. And until March, when we get new board members in, and there's a change of people, and they stop putting their foot down and saying, we're not taking this anymore, I don't know what to say. I'm not trying to tell you that there's no hope, but I'm gonna tell you there's no hope until March. Because the classes aren't changing. We have the same structured classes. We come in here every month. We've come in here every single month since day one. We've had parent meetings. Everybody's saying these kids cannot all be together. When we have 5 and 6 kids in a class, it disrupts in a class. The teacher's not gonna be able to teach, and the kids can't absorb what's being taught. Nothing's changing. I'm just as frustrated as you. So I honestly can tell you, I don't know what to say. My kid went home with homework that the teacher couldn't teach him in class because the classroom was disruptive. Yes, the principal did respond to my email, but I've heard that this class has been like this for months and months and months. I think a lot of it is, to be honest, is that, and it's not the principal because she just got here, but I just think that they're so used to and don't throw rocks at me, but I think they're so used to the culture of this school of having kids that is so disruptive and getting away with it, that the teachers now are just basically trying to teach and do what they can because they're trying.
They're trying to survive.
They're trying. But they know that, if there's kids in class with cell phones, they're gonna get away with it. If there's kids that come in late, they're gonna get away with it. They know the kids don't even raise their hand to go to the bathroom anymore, from some of the classes I heard. They just get up and walk out. The kids run the school. My kids tell me, they run the school. There's no structure. So, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I can just tell you that you can send emails. I can send you all day long. I send emails. I don't get responses either, and I'm a board member. So, I'm sorry. Until March, this is the way it is, I guess. I'm just frustrated.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Kelly.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Can I just say one thing? I know I had said before that I was standing up here when my kids were younger. but tonight kinda hit home. Samantha was one of my kids in school. And now she's up here. And I would have never thought that she would have to make the choice for her son not to go to this school and to pull him out because of the bullying. And now she would never send her kids here, her other two kids. That's a sad state, a real sad state. And that's why I want everybody to realize that's where we were. She hit home tonight.
And no one needs to sleep over it.
Don't say no one, because I
Well,
know
I
there's
can
a
tell
few of
you
you guys
it feels that way.
that do, and I know when my messages go out at 3 o'clock in the morning, who's awake and who's not, and why they're awake, okay? So there are people that really do care, but you guys, and I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but because of being told, which I don't understand why you were ever told not to speak, you're not a welcoming committee, a welcoming board. I mean, still to this point, I'm trying to crack jokes up here. And for God's sakes, you know, it's not happening. You know, maybe I should do some crazy Nana Wood stuff to see some reaction here. People are pouring their hearts out. And it looks like we're bothering you. I apologize for bothering you.
Hi, my name is Rachel Turcott. I have my own set of issues. I have my own kid in middle school. My two smallest ones also will not be attending middle school here unless something can drastically change in the next 2 years, which I'm told is highly unlikely since we've done this for 20 years apparently. I just want to make a question for you to think about. We talk all the time about the most unrestricted environment for every child to learn. I get it. Every kid should be in the classroom. We're thinking of which population at that point are we thinking about when we make that statement? What I am asking is the most unrestricted environment for, let's say half of our population. What about the kids who don't have any needs or IP or 504s or any of those kids? What is the most least restrictive environment for them, or behaviors? Because I have a child who has one of these items, so the most unrestricted environment for her, what she needs. But what about my other child who doesn't? And if they're in a classroom that has behaviors, is that now the most unrestricted environment for her? So when are we thinking about every child in the school? So we're talking about the behaviors in middle school and how they're disrupting classes. Well, now any child there who doesn't have anyone helping or in there particular for them, that's not the most unrestricted environment for their learning, because there's all these kids with behaviors disrupting their learning in their classroom where they don't want to be in the classroom. Does that make sense? Like, we're so focused on making sure everyone's included, but we're forgetting some of these kids who maybe just slide by, that are just sit in the classroom and don't say anything and just try to do the work. It's still a restrictive environment for them because they can't focus with all of the behaviors happening continuously. And I've heard that same bet.
Yep,
that
and I was
going
accused of
around.
discriminating.
I've heard the same
you can
bet
handle that
going around.
conversation, 'cause I won't.
And honestly, I could put money on it too at this point, because I've heard that for 3 years now.
Yep, I have the
3
same.
years I've heard the same problem with my same children, and nothing happens. So that's a restrictive environment. Anyone in that classroom, that's a restrictive environment for them.
Absolutely.
How do we fix that? So that every child has the most unrestricted environment for them, not just for the particular few that we need to put into a classroom. What about everybody else in there? Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
I've been talking about that this entire year, plus last year. The No Child Left Behind means that we leave 90% of the children behind to make excuses, to just bring along the bottom.
Yep.
And I've told everyone I'm sick of it. It's not fair to all the kids that want to learn and need to learn, and it seems to always fall on deaf ears. We have to put everyone together because we think it's the best. It's clearly not working. We're the bottom of the barrel in the state. We've got new scores coming out. Hopefully they've done a little bit better this year, but there needs to be some changes to where you have the kids are acting up in school. Like, we have to separate things out because we have really, really, really bright kids. I coach a ton of these kids and they're wicked smart, but they're all being dragged down by the rest of the bad behaviors that are in the class. Like, I hear what everyone's saying and I understand everyone's frustration on this. And like Kelly, like the rest of the board, like, we're always put between a rock and a hard place, but we are speaking up at these meetings, emails to the administration, and it seems to fall on deaf ears. Like,
Well, it will never be acknowledged.
I think that we should have different tiered classes. We need to do something with behaviors. We need to do something with discipline, true disciplinary action, because it's dragging the rest of the kids down. And every week everyone comes in and talks about this stuff. It's literally like an episode of Groundhog's Day every single month.
We're just on a hamster wheel at this point because this is how I felt since I started on the board.
It will never change.
Can I say one more thing, or are you guys done? Yes, okay, okay. The other thing is, I know I shared an email with Kelly that my son just got this year. I feel like maybe our teachers in the middle school are burnt out because of the way that our children behave. Because I know when I went to them, I felt like they lacked empathy for my child and for myself. I went to them a lot. There was a lot of emails back and forth. There was a lot of, what can I do? Can we check in? And some of the emails that I received were crazy to read them. I couldn't believe that a teacher was sending me these emails and just the things that they were saying and how you, one teacher told me how you can't basically teach motivation and apathy as a choice and just all these reasons why my child wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing. And in reality, he wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing because he was so miserable here. And then I get an email. He got an email actually himself this year, and I don't have the email. I did send it to Kelly.
I cried.
And just the way that the principal at his new school took the time to not only read what he was working on, but then read his finished work and acknowledge how hard that he has worked and how impressed she was with him and how happy, and that she knows how difficult it is to change, especially in 7th grade. He's been in school here since he was in 3rd grade, but how proud she was of him and how he is one of their people, and if he just keeps showing up, then they will stand behind him. I never had issues with my child until 7th grade. In 7th grade, I spoke to administration more than I have in the 10 years that he was in school prior to that. So it was new to me to talk to a principal or even a teacher more than I needed to. But the lack of empathy that I felt from our teachers and just the straight up support that he now has at his new school really is astonishing. Because I feel like if we had that for our students here, I'm not saying all the teachers are that way, but if we really showed up for our students in the middle school, how I feel like this new school is doing that, I think we would also have a big change. Because you do have the students that are kind of just going along and they don't get that. I feel like our teachers are burnt out when it comes to that. There's just one more.
I think what's interesting too is the fact that your son still goes to another school within our SAU.
Yeah.
And that's what's really sad, because it shows you right there that there's no continuity.
No, there's not. His new routine at his new school is completely different than what he was used to here. The whole culture, the community, how they do their classrooms are completely different. And I'm very thankful. Mary Jimmy and Meredith really stood up for him when he needed someone to stand up for him when no one else was standing up for him. And I'm very thankful that they did, because they got him out of this situation and into a great situation. And I know that they probably get heat for it and people still talk about it. And if anyone has any questions, reach out to me. I will gladly tell you why my child changed schools. I don't have anything to hide about that, but we are different. We're very different how we do things. I know that our demographics are a little different, but that doesn't mean that we can't be as great and as supportive and as welcoming and as full of the community feeling that he is now experiencing.
I'm happy for your son.
Me too,
too.
me too, me too.
I'm
I'm actually
very
jealous.
proud of him.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
On that note, I have to say something, because I think that's awesome that your son went there. And I think it's interesting that Meredith and Miss Toomey helped you, because I wanted to put my child to that school, in July. And I was lied to, basically. You guys lied to me. Meredith's not here, but she lied to me. She told me I couldn't move my child to that school, specifically, because I'm a mile away from that school. I'm actually closer to that school than I am to Seabrook. And I was lied to, because I wanted Riley out of this school at the end of last year. I met them in July. And I'm gonna say this again, because I've already said this publicly, and I'll say it again. I met with them in July to get Riley out of this school for this year. And they lied to me. And they told me that I couldn't move her out of this SAU. There were no other schools I could put her in. That's what I was told. I was lied to. And then a few months later, because my daughter's child goes to that school, I was told, hey mom, did you know that there's a Seabrook student that got transferred over here? And I said, oh really? That's interesting. Because I was told that wasn't possible. I was told to my face that wasn't possible. Because I would have done that in August, not in December. Now that I know I can do that, does my child want to start at a new school in December of 7th grade? No, she doesn't. But she may have in August, when I wanted to start her there, if I had been told the truth. I actually found out the truth because I called the Department of Education. And I talked to the head guy. And the head guy at the Department of Education told me the truth. Not what Meredith told me, even here, you guys, when I was at that meeting, and I said, I want to know how I can get that hardship, and I don't know if that's what you did, the hardship. Yeah, there is a way to get a hardship. There's also an easier way that Meredith didn't say, that the Department of Education told me about. So actually, you're wrong, because you can put your child at any district, in any school, in the state, or anywhere, actually. So, there you go. They lie.
So, on that note, I sort of got the same thing when I went to Meredith about this same thing, and I had luckily called the DOE right before the meeting to find out the answer that Kathy got also, that you can use. And when I pointed that out to Meredith, she said, oh yeah, well, not for a hardship, you have to have the board's approval. So, but I wasn't going for a hardship, it was the best interest of the child, which at that point, the DOE said she can make that choice herself to move your child to a school within your district, herself, or anywhere. To be told by your superintendent that that's not the case, and only because I made the call beforehand to find out that is the case, it's not, what are we doing? That's not, you don't trust anyone, so now you trust them even less. All of you have gotten my email already, we're waiting on one more meeting, but I know that we can do this either way. It's whether she's going to assist or whether we're gonna have to go to both boards. But we know it's possible. But I did get the same thing from her that Kathy has said, similar, where it was told that, you know, it has to go to the board. They said, no, that's not what the DOE said. The DOE said you can choose that yourself because you're the superintendent of all of the schools in the district, in the SAU. So that's not the only person.
So no disrespect to you, Rachel, like I don't want you to take this the wrong way because I hope that it does work out for them. But I just feel like that everybody's now looking to pull their students, which I don't blame you because if Cameron and Connor said to me tomorrow, you know, I don't care about my friends, my education comes first, and they weren't almost in 8th grade. And I probably would, if they were going into the 5th grade, I would be pulling them in Sacred Heart. I'd probably keep them in the elementary, but when they got to 5th grade, bye-bye. But I think the problem is that now everybody wants to pull their kid, and that's not solving the problem for everybody who can't pull their kid. So meanwhile, all we're basically doing is we're putting a Band-Aid on a problem And eventually, parents are gonna get mad, and they're gonna be given their way and send them to other schools if maybe somebody finds out what they did wasn't legal, and now it could be a lawsuit, so now we're gonna let everyone's kids go to another school. Meanwhile, the other schools have to give permission for the kids to go there according to Meredith. But honestly, are the other schools gonna wanna take on our kids when they're a year behind? I mean, as it is, they're going over there and they're being kept back. So I think that at the end of the day, we all need to really look at what can we do to help everyone's kid in this town, not just move them to another school. You know what I mean? Rachel, I have your back, you know
Yeah,
that.
I understand
So I
that.
think that everybody needs to really look at the big picture and be like, okay, what, if we've done this, and this, and it's not worked, and we've tried to go to the board and it hasn't worked, and now we're finding out that information we're being given isn't valid. I've had that problem.
Yeah.
I've had problems when I've gotten information and it hasn't been true, and I found out the truth, and I bring it forward and I look like an idiot. I'm laughed at. I'm not laughed at, I have the proof, it's right here. I'm lucky that I have a lot of people in this town that found out the same stuff as I did or brought it to me. I mean, but there are people in this school that I have brought things to that have, I mean, I've had a lot of, I've had a lot of luck with Brian. Like, there's things that I've brought to him, like maybe last year, just the little things, you know what I mean? And like, he's talked to me. But I mean, and I can't really say anything about Colleen because she just started here or whatever. I will be honest and say that there is concern going forward that as much as she's trying, that they don't feel like things are gonna change because there's still people above her telling her what she can do and what she can't do. But I think the problem is that you have a board that doesn't feel like they have the right to help. And you're not being given the right information. You're not given, I mean, how can you go to somebody and get information that's not true and walk away feeling like you're okay with that? Because I know at the end of the day, I will walk to Alaska to get the truth if it has to do with my kid. But I mean, I'm glad for you, and I hope she does approve it, and if anything that you need anything from, I know from me, I can only speak for myself as a board member, anything to make things easier on your child, I would agree to. I just don't want everyone to think the answer is pulling their kids out because
Because it shouldn't have to do that.
they shouldn't have to do that because
They
you're still paying attention. Jen, you're
But we
right.
shouldn't, you're right, we
She
shouldn't
said it.
have to, but for how many
I
years
know.
more can parents expect to wait? Their child grows. They
Our-
get
our kids
older.
have no
We
more
have
time
to
left.
keep
They don't have
going.
time.
No, you're right. I'm sticking up for you.
Right, so
I'm saying that why should they?
Right, and I don't want to do it, it's going to make our life way harder getting her there and back, but she is out of time. And I, at this point, have to worry about my child, I cannot worry about the whole of the middle school, because
No, I
it
know.
doesn't seem like it's going to fix. No matter how hard everyone tries, and I think Colleen's trying her best, and is doing the best job I've seen since we've come to middle school, but I don't know, I know, but I don't know what else to do. We don't know what else to do.
Look, I've talked to other schools and they've told me we pretty much do what we want. We don't understand why Seabrook's so nailed down to all these rules and restrictions. They run their school the way they want. If their schedule feels like they need to change it, they wanna add this in. There's no questions. For some reason, Seabrook is, I don't know.
So, yes, it's my thoughts.
I hope it works out for her.
I just wanna say, cause I'm here because of all the kids, cause I did pull my child out, and I am homeschooling her. Well, she's virtually learning her core classes, but I'm still here because I care about all the kids. That's why I'm here, cause I did what I had to do for Riley. She's in 7th grade, she doesn't have time. I'm sorry, I don't see any action. So I had to act for my kid, my child, I had to. But I'm still here for the whole of everybody, because something has to change. If I'm not here, I'm glad you guys are here, but where are all the parents?
Yeah. Oh, the ones that want
Where are all the
6
parents?
But there has been parents here.
That's what I don't understand.
There has been parents
Where is
here.
everybody? Do you guys not know what is happening? I don't get it. I don't get it. Okay, so I appreciate that you guys are all here. Paula doesn't even have kids in the school. She has grandkids, and so do I, that probably won't come to this school, thankfully, because unfortunately, again, and it's not personal, it starts in the elementary school. This is not only a middle school problem. Elementary school levels are 29% as well. So it's a whole, it's both schools. It's not one or the other. And I don't blame anybody personally, I don't know what the answer is. I'm here to speak for everybody until something changes, because look at, none of the parents are coming. I don't get it, I don't get it.
Last time, sorry. I know it was just spoken about how they stay back when my son got moved. So I will speak on that because I know nobody else can speak on that. My child did stay back. I did keep him back into 7th grade. There was a lot of factors that went into that. It wasn't just because he didn't learn what he needed to at Seabrook School. In between 6th grade and 7th grade, I had him in tutoring all summer long because he wasn't where he needed to be, and I wanted him to. So we went to Sylvan twice a week, all summer long, got him where he needed to be for 7th grade, and then 7th grade, life hit the fan for him, and he fell back. He was avoiding class, he wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing because he was unhappy. So he did stay back. It wasn't just because he went to Seabrook School and we're so terrible. We know how our grades are. But it was a combination of his age and the things that happened to him in the last year and where he mentally was best at. I think that, yes, obviously we have our 2 schools together. My daughter, I'm very happy with her at Seabrook Elementary School. She doesn't have an IP or any of that, but she gets the services that she needs. I love her teachers. My youngest is only in preschool. I'm not really worried about him. He knows his ABCs. Like he's happy. He's a nice kid. That's really all that matters at that age, I think. But we do need to change because we have these other kids that I feel like we're working so hard on, and then we bring them over to our middle school and we just are not putting the effort in that. Not everybody. There's certain are, but the majority is not getting the effort that they need. And if we just continue this pattern, then we're going to continue to fail generation after generation of children that don't deserve to be failed. We're a great little town. Thank you.
Just one. I think this will be it. Past my bedtime. But I want to thank you guys. This is what I was hoping would end up happening. We had a discussion here tonight. And I did see smiles because I know you guys care. So maybe think about your questions and comments. Nobody got bitten, nobody got really screamed at. People get passionate, but when you have kids, that's what happens. Sorry, but so think about it and maybe just have a little bit of a chit chat because we want your opinions. We want the discussions, you know, and maybe if that happens, more people would be willing to come because it's frustrating. Like I said, that was, everybody knows me, knows I like to talk, and when nobody talks back to me, it's like, you know, I go outside and kick something, but, you know, it's a give and take. I know it can be tough at times, but that's how we work together. At least that's how we've always done it. So thank you again for engaging in the conversations.
Thank you.
Alright, so we're gonna move on to the budget review, the minutes, if that's okay.
Motion to approve the minutes from the December 4th, 2023 budget review.
Second. All in favor? Okay. Unanimous.
I can't see.
Unanimous.
Unanimous?
And then December 12th meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes from December 12th, 2023 meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Unanimous. No, wait. Was it the special meeting? What was the special meeting for?
Special meeting.
That's not in here.
It was the,
Oh, I was here.
No.
you're on the phone.
Yeah.
Second.
Yeah, the 21st was
You were
just.
present.
The 21st was when she was here.
Yeah,
she was on the phone.
Sorry. Yes, the 21st. Yeah. Motion to approve the minutes from the December 21st meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous.
Okay. Can't see when you guys are all like down in the order for me.
Alright, superintendent report.
Sure, there are a few dates that I should mention from Meredith's report, for Cameron. First of all, speaking of legislation, we have the legislative roundtable coming up from 6 to 8 p.m. on Wednesday, January 24th. All joint board members are invited. I think most of you guys have been to this, but not only is it a good opportunity to hear about the bills that are proposed, I think there are over 200 bills right now in New Hampshire state government proposed, but also actually interact with the legislators that are making decisions on that. So it's a great opportunity, and the more the merrier for that. Joint board meeting, the OC is meeting January 18th on 2024 to set the agenda for the joint board meeting. Joint board meeting is going to be January 29th at 6 p.m. I think that's already in your agenda. Policy committee, January 22nd at 5 p.m. Last but not least, important information, school district filing information for school board. Filing dates for all school district positions are Wednesday, January 24th, 2024 through Friday, February 2nd, 2024. She has Seabrook on there. And with respect to Seabrook, positions open, one school board member, 3-year term currently filled by Christina Kaiser. One school board member, 3-year term currently filled by Michelle Perkins. And anyone interested may contact the Seabrook School District Clerk. And that's it, unless you guys have questions. Oh, I'm up, okay. Sorry. Curriculum instruction assessment, we have 2 updates for safety and security. First of all, the MOUs are coming around January 1st. Every year we have new memorandums of understanding with the police departments. That's for our school resource officer and for surveillance. So board chairs should be seeing that come around for a signature in the near future, as soon as we get those signed off on. Second, for safety and security, we have on April 3rd, 2024, we have a reunification training. It's actually going to be hosted in Exeter. But the special part about this is it's a regional reunification training. So we're going to get administrators from Exeter, Oyster River, Portsmouth, SAU 21, Hampton, and we're all going to get together and basically be trained with the same language, same processes, and the intent is twofold. One is to help us out with our reunification, but 2 is if there is an incident that happens in Oyster River, for example, we will have people that are able to go and help and speak the same language and know the process that they're going through for reunification. So it's kind of a stopgap for school security and a good step forward.
What do you guys mean by reunification training, and like what does that entail, just for anyone that might
Yeah.
not know what that is, because I don't.
Thank you, Patrick. So reunification would be, say we have to exit the school for some reason or go to a secondary location. If we have to evacuate Seabrook to go to the rec, for example. The process of meeting at the new place, making sure.
Rally point stuff, basically.
Exactly, rally point stuff, making sure parents are connected with the right kids, et cetera, et cetera. And last thing for curriculum instruction, it's recertification time. Now that it's the new year, we have 114 credentials to renew. Just to give the public a background, for our certified teachers, what they need is 30 hours per cycle of content-related professional development. That means if I'm a biology teacher, I have to attend 30 hours worth of conferences around biology as a subject. In addition to that 30 hours, you need 45 what we call general or pedagogical hours. That's just basic teaching and learning practice. So it's a total of 75 if I have one certification, more if you have more certifications. Long story short, we have 114 credentials to renew. Seabrook Elementary has 15 teachers up. Seabrook Middle has 19 teachers up. Feel free to place your bets on who's going to be at 100% first. And that's it, unless you guys have questions.
All right, student services report. Good evening, everyone. Just wanted to make you aware, as I'm sure you already are from everything that we've been hearing in the media, that New Hampshire's levels of acute respiratory illness are high right now for most of New Hampshire, certainly for us. There's one county that is even in the very high range. Acute respiratory illness can be anything, common cold, flu, COVID-19, folks are still being diagnosed with COVID. In August, the state published a school toolkit for acute respiratory illness that I've linked in the report for you and for families to take a look at. Lots of good information in there, just good reminders for us at this time of the year. By the way, that map that's linked in the report is from the last week of December. So not the week we came back to school, but the week right before. And coming back from the school break, you know, we're seeing right before the school break and now after, we're seeing high levels of absenteeism due to these things. So just good reminders. Our nurses are doing a great job reinforcing the messages that help us mitigate the spread of these types of germs. So reminding our students and staff about hand washing, not sharing utensils, and making sure that we're, you know, cleaning surfaces, all of the good things, so that we can keep our staff and our students as healthy as possible. Just wanted to bring that to your attention in this winter time of everything going on.
Brian?
Great. Some quick thank yous to begin. I'd like to thank Kyle Brown for redoing our website. Kyle's the SAU tech. He's done all the district websites, and they're way better, way more user friendly. So if you've been taking a look at our website, it's great now. Thanks to Holly Bragg, she made 350 sugar cookies, and we had a blast making those with students in December and the parents who came out to volunteer. We also had some other fun events in December, community building with the Winter Caroling Day and our Care Spirit Week. And Ms. O'Brien always puts on a great concert for, I think it was first grade students, and our PTO organized that. There's some information there about the Ladybug Picture Awards and our Let Grow project. We're starting to get a bunch of submissions now, this second round of Let Grow, which is a project we have students do independent projects at home. And this time is our second time launching. We've said that any student who submits an entry by tomorrow night gets a chance to have lunch with Mr. Dow and I. I don't know why that's cool, but excited to have pizza with us on Friday.
Lunch date.
So we got 15 already on the snow day. There's some really good information here about our attendance efforts. Our social worker, Jess Cormer, and I meet every Friday, and so parents have probably received a number of letters. So as soon as we get to 3 absences, we start sending letters to parents to remind them of the importance of education. Because once we get to 5, that's what the state classifies as habitually truant. And so we're really trying to avoid having more than 3 to 5 absences for students, and those are unexcused absences. So if a student has, there's a number of reasons why we would excuse an absence, doctor's notes and so forth. We've significantly lowered, I believe, when we started this work, and this was just coming off COVID, almost 100% of our students had 5 or more absences that were unexcused. And so part of it is educating parents to say you need to call in when your student is sick and to let us know why, so we can excuse the absence. And the other part is making sure kids get out of bed and come to school. And so there's some other information there about what we do to support students. You know, it may be that I go out and visit the house with Jess, or we go with Keith, or we go knocking on doors, but we've got some very good success stories of students who are actually coming to school now, but you can't learn to read if you don't come to school. And so, additionally, there's some great information here about SES TV and the Student-Led Maker Workshop, and the Learning Walk. And then the last thing I wanted to share from this report is all the clubs that we have going on right now to support students with Student Council, Art Club. We're working with the library to increase Lego clubs and all sorts of other things for students. And they fill up almost within the week when we put out a new club. So thanks to our staff for doing new clubs.
Check out SES TV because Caroline loves that.
Oh, yeah.
SES, interviewing people.
And the fact that you included it in the link, I think you did, was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, it's fun to do a good job.
My 5th grader was very sad that she could not go back and do that this year. She was really upset about that. But thank you. Colleen, your turn.
Kind of piggyback on what Brian said, we also have an attendance team, which I gave you all of the members a lot of information about. We also send letters out. We sent 59 absence letters term 1 and 56 tardy letters. I do appreciate when parents call and say, thank you for the letter. Usually, you know, you don't thank somebody for sending a letter like they should in school. I had a conversation the other day and the mother said, listen, I've been talking to her, she doesn't wanna get out of bed. I said, I get it, they're middle school kids, they wanna sleep. I feel like our efforts, similar to Brian's, are to decrease the amount of students that are tardy and late. For every minute you miss, you're missing the beginning of instruction for students who are late, and it is gonna impact them. We have a great team, you know, we don't want students to become chronically absent, we don't wanna have to go to visit their house. So thank you to every parent who has read the letter and has a conversation with their child. Also, to kind of mirror that, we started the MTSS team, which was not in place when I arrived. So we kind of took the best practices that they're using at the elementary school. We mirrored what they do in terms of the data we look at, the database we use. We've had 2 meetings. When we talk about meeting the needs of all students, for those students who are falling through the cracks, we need to support them, and this team is very strong. We've sent the referral form to teachers and said, you know, who are you worried about, who's absent, who's not engaged in class, who's not doing their homework. I'm excited about this. I think it has an opportunity really to look at all students and not just a subgroup of students. To celebrate in December, thank you to the PTO for the tree. I walked in one day and there was the tree that I asked for. I think the way you reculture schools is to be positive and bring things in that are also fun for students. You know, I told all of you when I was hired at the end of September, I want kids to be safe and I want academics to go up, but I also want them to be able to come and have a little fun as well. Brian has a lot of fun with cookies. He stole a little of that. Thanked the 8th grade parent and said, why don't we just do something special for 8th grade because they're leaving us. So unfortunately I was at a meeting so I missed that, but they had a cookie decorating, we had door decorating, very competitive staff. And we have some winners, we haven't given them the prize yet, it's coming. Our RAM rally was next level in December, so, and then we did a little thing with the staff. We gave 3 staff members a mint, who has the mint, they had it in their pocket all month, and then we gave little prizes at the RAM rally. They were very creative in how they helped prevent some of their peers not getting the mint. So I think we try to balance the, yes, we need to look at academics and achievement, but we also need to celebrate, so I appreciate that piece.
Do you have an update, Colleen, on the 5th grade extensions? Like the enrichment?
The enrichment?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna wait till.
Oh, never mind, we'll wait.
Yeah, sure.
It's fine. No, it's good. We'll wait. We'll hold on.
I do.
Okay, we'll talk about that then.
I thought maybe
I just jumped the gun.
B on the agenda, I'll mention it.
Okay. Finance report is taking.
Matt's apologies, Matt's presenting in Southampton right now.
Okay.
If you do, his revenue and expenditure reports are attached to the agenda. If you do have any questions, please email Matt.
Okay. Alright, continuing business, school board goals. We have our goals that have been set since we went to Old Salt that one time. And they have not been revisited. So that would be something that I would suggest doing when March rolls around.
After election?
Yeah.
And after basketball season.
Is it after basketball season?
Yeah,
right.
It'll be March Madness, but.
Yeah. Okay, we have a couple things still on the agenda. Classroom structures. We did kind of touch
I
on.
wanted to make a motion about that, about the classroom structures, that we make it a point we need to revisit the classroom structures and come up with like a rough draft, like a plan or something, because I feel like all we've done is gone on this hamster wheel and like not impressed upon having some sort of plan on the administration to kind of come up with a plan to kind of fix the classroom structures, because we keep bringing it up, the different tiered like classrooms and whatnot, and I don't feel like we've gotten anywhere with that.
So we could add a
So we're having a
presentation.
conversation.
I,
on classroom
well, so I would like to
structures
make a
before-
motion that we, revisit the classroom structure and come up with, a rough draft. I'm not necessarily make a motion, but have a discussion about it.
So we could request some sort of information about what the classroom structure, I mean, cause again, we can talk about it around and round, but ultimately, let's see information from them, regardless of anything. So,
Can we form new classroom structures? Is that something that can be done? I mean, I think we've had everyone ask this question for 6 months. Is this something that we can legitimately sit down and look at? Because what's currently going on isn't working. Parents are frustrated, they brought their stuff. I think, and this isn't something that can be literally whipped up over.
No,
So,
I'm well aware, like, I meant like a
I
draft
think-
to have a conversation.
Take the note on this to put it on the same classroom structure on the next agenda. I think that I would like to be presented with a few different options by at next meeting of how we can structure these classrooms to maximize education, discipline, and the student services that people need. Like, those are the 3 big things. We need the services that all the people that are on IEPs and all that has to be in place clearly per the laws and all of that. Like, we need discipline in the classroom, and we need a different structure, because we do have kids that are being dragged down, and we have kids that are disrupting, and if there's a way that we can separate it out based off of the scores, based on, I mean, I'll let let you guys at least come up with a month. We have a month till the next meeting. Let's have something down to at least present to us to see what we can do, and then we can make a motion on which classroom structure.
And which way we can like kind of further that.
There has to be acknowledgement that there's an issue,
Yeah, that's why I'm
and there
bringing
has
it
not
up.
been any acknowledgement that there's an issue.
Well,
So, I'm just trying, like,
Not a
Is it
motion.
so I don't think
No,
there's.
It's not a motion, it's a
We're
discussion.
going to be
I'm asking.
requesting information for the next meeting to have it on the agenda, but actually have other
I
information.
have ideas other than.
I think it might help to present to the board some information about what is currently in place, because I think that even within that, there's some confusion about what does least restrictive environment mean, which is not akin to unrestricted, right? Least restrictive means there could be restrictions, and that's what you're talking about, right? And as a matter of fact, we do have 2 programs that are terms substantially separate approved for this campus. So I think knowing that, knowing the counts for those types of programs, knowing what the full-time equivalency is of students who are identified per grade level might be helpful to kind of see what that's looking like. I think all of that might be important for you, because you're hitting on some of the issues that are here, and that I know that the current administrations, both elementary and middle, are wrapping their heads around when they talk to you about MTSS, multi-tiered systems of support. That's a way of getting at the needs of all learners, not just those that are identified, but you have a large percentage of kiddos, and you know this because of where your achievement levels are, who are not in that 20% that are identified, but they're still not meeting grade
Okay, I
level
gotta interrupt you there,
expectations.
because I've been going since the 3rd grade trying to get my kid support, and she is at a 3rd and 2nd grade level. She is in the 7th grade, and I am fighting tooth and nail to get her identified. So I'm talking about all the behaviors that are going on in her classrooms. She just spent the whole last week doing nothing in class, and no one's followed up with it. I don't understand, like, the behaviors that are happening in the class are distracting her. We're not just talking about kids that are on IEPs and 504s. We're talking about kids that are obnoxiously rude and disrespectful.
We're saying the same thing.
No, you're not. Because you're talking about kids that are identified and talking about 2 substantially separate classrooms. You are talking about students you're not talking about the students that are causing behaviors day in and day out, fighting tooth and nail with these kids and the teachers in the classroom.
I think you misunderstood me. what I was acknowledging is that in addition to about 20% of your population that is identified, you have another segment of students that the administrators are trying to address in a multi-tiered system of support, in a tier
There's no
1, in a tier 2,
consequences for those
in a tier
guys.
3. Well, we can talk about them as consequences, or we could talk about them as solutions. What we need to do is present you with this information, I think, so that then we can give this administration, both of them, a chance to do their job with your help.
So
I would
why,
also like to
why,
have numbers
what month
for
are we
that.
in? What month are we in? No, I'm not being funny, I'm dead serious. We're in January, we've been talking about this since September, and I really appreciate you bringing this up. I just don't understand why we now have to be in January for this to become a topic.
Because in a year and a half, my kid's going to the middle school, to high school. In a year and a half.
Because I think no matter how many tiers of support you have, you still need to address
When do they expire the tiers of support? Like, when are they up? When do they get consequences? Like, I don't get it anymore. Like, these other parents have been here fighting every freaking meeting. Every meeting. Kathy has been at almost every meeting that I've been to. And the shit's still going on. I don't get it.
So with classroom structures, I'd love to hear information that you guys have, but I'd also like to hear.
And can we make it so that it's layman's terms so that people can actually understand what they're talking about?
But I want options. I want options because the options that are going
There needs to
on
be changes.
the last few years clearly hasn't worked. I mean, you can't bang your head against the wall
That's what I feel.
and expect that it's gonna move. Like, we have to, we need a couple of different options. Like, Colleen, how you wanna, like, if you have ideas, like, I wanna hear them directly from, like, you and your staff of, like, what you guys think. You're the head honcho here. Like, again, I have all my faith that you can right this ship. Like, I wanna hear more from you and far less from the SAU on how we can get Seabrook, because the other schools are doing far better than we are. They have their input and they're running it different than what we're doing here. So I would like to hear the information that we have on these multi-tiered structures, but I wanna see something where like, all right, this is one way to run a classroom. This is option 2, we can separate them out this way. This is option 3, there has to be other options. I know for a fact there are schools that tier people out, it's not uncommon. Brian ran a school, and this is impossible to make happen today, but Brian ran a school in Manchester that was a gradeless school that was able to move people by what their grade level was. So like if you were a 5th grader reading at a 7th grade level, you went and read with the 7th graders. The 7th grader was reading at a 6th grade level, he went down so we could, and I know that takes years to put in. That's not gonna come in and be a flip of the switch right now.
We don't have years. We don't have years,
I
and they
know
were
we
able
don't.
to make a quick change for the fifth graders, so that those kids are able to get into it. Why was the 5th grade? Because all the parents came forward and said, I want changes. How come that was something that could be done rather quickly? But this is something that is gonna take years to fix.
The changes that they
literally
made.
saying
No,
the
I'm
same-
just
I'm literally
asking.
saying the same thing you are.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not saying to flip the script right now and make it a gradeless middle school, but I want options of like, listen, this is how we're gonna tear it out. This is how we can, we need to see, like, we need to be innovative here because clearly we're behind the 8 ball again for years. So next meeting, let's have a couple of ideas. Let's present us some ideas that we can make a motion on and try to help all of this entire school move forward.
So we did have a meeting back in August, and I'm gonna refer back to an email that Meredith sent to the board, responding to my email when I asked who is responsible for discipline and final say of consequences, because there's been some situations in the middle school where there's been a lot of violence, and it seems to be the same. I have heard that the suspensions have increased, but although I have a feeling that it just seems to be students that are victims of students that continue to cause problems, that they normally wouldn't be in trouble, but because these kids are constantly in trouble, are bringing trouble to them, they're simply defending themselves. I was told, I've attached a presentation from our August board retreat, I think we all remember that, where we were told suspensions don't really work, on discipline, which might be a helpful reference. So I'm not sure if we need to go back and we need to revisit about the discipline policy, because that does feed into the distractions in the classroom. Slide number 11 specifically speaks to the manifestation meeting, which is required to be held for students with disabilities once they reach 10 days of suspension. They do not preclude the school from suspending children, but they do mandate certain steps that need to be followed on services that need to be provided. I understand that, but unfortunately the problem we have, and it's not
They're not
just,
being suspended.
it's not just for the students that have the special education. It's all students. And I think the problem is that we have students that possibly maybe have behavior plans, and then we have students that don't. And the ones that do not seem to have to follow consequences, and the ones who do, there continues to be, I don't wanna say free passes, but numerous chances. And I think the students that normally wouldn't get into trouble, you're finding them now act out because they don't seem to understand how come Joe can do whatever he wants and I have to
I agree.
be held accountable. So I think that we need to take that into consideration when we discuss the classroom structures, because you can't continue to expect these students that come here to learn every day to sit in a classroom and watch other students be allowed to do things that they would not be allowed to do. So you don't want to separate them, you don't want to single them out, but at the same time, you can't expect the kids who maybe come into class late to get a lunch detention when they see the same students come in late every day and not get a lunch detention. So I think a lot of that's what's going on in the school. I've heard that from parents, that kids are coming home and complaining that they got a lunch detention, although this person comes into class every day late because she's at her locker on her cell phone. So I think it's, whether it's the tiers of support, I think that at the end of the day, everybody needs to be treated equally if we're gonna keep them all in a class equally. And these kids all need to feel supported because they're not all feeling supported. And I don't think they all feel like this is a place where they can come and feel that they're just as important as somebody else. And I think a lot of that has to do with the class structures. I think I've said that before.
So, I don't mean to talk out of turn, I know you want to hear from the building administration. One potential step forward, first of all, I hear what parents are saying, what you guys are saying. We're looking for a system that not only has those safety nets, but also has trampolines, right? As supports for kids who want to excel and want to move quicker through the curriculum, right? I think there are a lot of ideas going on in this school that support that notion. I would suggest that we could do something kind of like informal right now and just kind of go through what's current, as Mary said, what's currently happening in the school. Or we could have more of a formal presentation next go round where, to Patrick's point, we could put together this is the vision of where we want to go and allow you guys to get behind it.
So are there things that are currently happening? I mean, we always know that there's things happening that we don't know about, and that has lots of reasons.
I think the first thing we did was we restructured the schedule. When I was interviewed, I said to Meredith, I don't understand flex, I don't understand ice, I don't understand wind, I don't understand why they don't have core instruction every day in 5th grade, and like, why does this happen? When you jump into a school at the end of September, I've told you this, you have to go slow to go fast, because the staff, I think, is working as hard as they can, given the fact that there's been some turnover. So we looked at, we presented to the admin council, which is teachers, and we said, hey, listen, the structure's not working for everyone, we want it to work for everyone. We need to have an academic focus and not go outside and play, mat ball, or go to the Gaga pit, which I haven't seen yet. It's not cohesive. We want cohesion in a middle school in order to be effective. We need to have a cohesive system because Brian's students feed into us. We looked at the structure, we looked at data, we decided we would have a RAM block because it wasn't consistent across grade levels, and everybody would have this RAM block. It's real small, and that's when we do our tiered support and intervention. We have our interventionists, we have 4 interventionists. We have, our case managers, we have our classroom teachers, and we have our EAs. So all those people during that block of time, which is, most middle schools have an intervention block, when you look at, what does this kid need, what does this one need? The quandary with that, and I'll be, because I'm always gonna be transparent with you, is like, some kids need both, some kids need ELA and math. So we kind of determine like, what's the most bang for our buck, in terms of like that grouping. We told the teachers this is what it should look like, this is what it shouldn't look like. When, they shouldn't be on IXL for 50 minutes. If the teacher is absent, then we have to have that as a support system, because now you're asking somebody to do, multiple groups at once. We had a great discussion with them. Everybody was, on board for that. And then we told them at the end of the period of 6 weeks, which is what most middle schools do, they do a 68-week intervention group. We're gonna look at the data. You guys know we're in the middle of NEWA testing. We're very optimistic that kids will grow. I mean, that's our goal, that everybody grows. And then we're gonna, shuffle the deck again and look at what they have. The reason the 5th grade, Kelly, to speak to your question, got support is they only have 4 teachers. Everybody else has 5. So they're down a teacher. Fortunately, Brian gave us some of his money that he had in a grant, and we're able to hire somebody who will start on Friday to support the 5th grade students in, from 9 to 2. She'll be here 4 days, 5 days a week?
4 days a week.
4 days a week. And she's a recent graduate from UNH. She wants to get into education. We interviewed 2 people, and from our vantage point, she's gonna be a great person to help support that particular grade level.
And that's for enrichment more so, or is that?
It'll be flexible. I mean, she and
For math.
the math teacher will
Math.
determine what's it gonna look like.
So
How do
based
we-
on the child, or the group?
Based
you're
on where
gonna-
the kids are at.
Okay.
What about that?
Our goal is to meet everyone's needs, and that's why we have the multi-tiered system of support.
What are we doing for the 7th and 8th graders that are leaving in a year to go to high school to support them?
I would say that the RAM block should be the time when they are getting
But
support.
so we're supporting the 5th grade, but the kids that are leaving to go to high school, we're leaving them hanging again, continuously?
I mean, we're down a person in 5th grade. We only have 4 people.
That's
7,
why
8,
it's
and
important to keep the classes small and not get rid of teachers. We need to keep the
Yeah,
class,
right.
yeah, we
And
can't.
it's
Which
never
makes
gonna-
me bringing up another point that I'd like to bring up a motion that, we're gonna, if the budget fails, that the teacher's position stays 4 teachers minimum per K through 8th grade.
Is that your motion?
Mm-hmm.
Can you say that again?
That if the budget fails, the teacher position stays, cause remember at the budget meeting, we had talked about, removing a teacher from the budget,
Yes.
right?
Did you hear that the teacher was gonna be removed?
No, but the
Oh.
teacher's not gonna be removed, but it's saying that we had that extra position and we had made, Patrick had said something about like the teacher kind of floating on
Oh,
the
yeah,
fifth
yeah, yeah,
grade
yeah,
or
okay.
something like that, but I think we need to make it that, so there's only 4 teachers per grade, for every grade.
My only concern with that is if you have a large class, if, like, let's say you have an influx of 3rd graders and you need 5 teachers, and you have less 2nd graders, you need less teachers. It's to make that, I agree with you that the elementary teacher or whatever teacher that was in that budget should be not removed. I mean, I agree with you 100%.
Right, but what I'm saying is that because that's gonna allow them to make larger class sizes if they end up doing that. And so the class sizes need to stay less than like 16 or 17 or whatever they're at now.
So if you give a requirement for per grade level numbers, then you could pose an issue if numbers change and like grade level numbers. I mean, again, I agree with you, small class sizes, keep the teachers, but if you make a specific number of saying 4 teachers for each grade level, you could have an issue depending on how the numbers shake out in the following year. But I agree with you that the teachers should not be taken out. But I think if you get too specific, then you're
But what happens if the budget fails, though, is my concern.
if the budget fails, we have to come up with $400,000. That needs to be removed.
So I think what she's doing is she's trying to save the teacher from being cut if the budget fails.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that what you're trying to
But
do?
that has to come to us,
Oh,
I
it does?
believe, anyway, once we're making cuts.
Yeah, they
from it.
cannot cut anything without it being approved by the board,
Okay.
the proposals. I mean, I would second you if you think we still need to do it, because I think you're right.
It will come to the board.
It goes to the new board, so it'll be the new board that has to.
Minimum of 4 teachers.
Because I don't, I think the new board is the one that has to decide.
Right. So what we're all agreeing on, smaller class sizes, don't wanna get rid
Do
of
we have a minimum?
teachers.
There's a board policy.
Yeah, I'm looking for
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a board policy. We're far on, we're under. And
Yeah, no, I know,
the
yeah.
intention is to maintain it.
Michelle, you
However-
mean minimum amount teachers 4, correct?
Yes.
Minimum of 4.
Right.
I just wanted to clarify that you meant minimum of 4, not max 4.
No, minimum of 4. Did I say
That's
maximum?
all, I'm just
Sorry.
trying to clarify, that's all.
Right.
We're over here in the peanut gallery, sorry.
To Christina's point
I
though.
wrote minimum
if-
too.
To Christina's point though, if all of a sudden I have, I'm gonna make this up, 30 extra first graders that show up, we would look at our numbers and make sure that we meet the board policy and that we're doing what's right for kids at that point. So an example, what if I get 150 kindergartners? Not that I'm going to, but so we may have to, we would adjust our staffing to have the best outcomes for students. My intention is to keep that teacher where they are, and not to move anything. But to Christina's point, if we get 150 for kindergartners, then we get a whole different problem.
So we all agree, we don't want
Yeah.
that teacher being removed from the budget. I just think if you make it too specific, then,
No, I didn't understand that if the budget failed, that it would come back to us. I was just concerned that if the budget failed, that we.
For cuts, we have to, I
Exactly.
do believe we have to go through it with the. Yeah, with the finance guy, because we have to make
He
the cuts.
proposes the cuts, and we have to approve them,
Yes.
I'm assuming.
and as a reminder, if the budget fails, that's $400,000 that needs to be found.
Right.
And removed, and then not found, well, they have to basically find where to cut that money from. So we are all in agreement, we don't want that teacher being cut, that's not something that any of us are on board with. So when that comes back to whoever sits at this board table in March, then that would be something that obviously we would then move forward with that information. So, yes, I agree with you, Michelle. None of us are supportive of taking out a teacher, but that has to be at that level. Because if you make it too specific, then again you're saying that they have to have 4 teachers versus if they need, what if they need 5? It's just, I don't know. That's what I would just hesitate to be too specific until you know the numbers.
Jen, you're on the policy committee, I believe that goes to policy, there would be a change in policy, correct?
Your current,
Not
you have a current policy at
Yeah, what is
Seabrook. It's IIB, and it's K through 2, it's a class size policy, it's not number of teacher policy. K
Okay.
through 2 is 20 students per class, grades 3 through 8 is 25 students per class.
25?
25, max. Yeah, max. Max,
And we never, we
Wait a minute, what, so the max is 25?
correct. 3 in grades 3 through 8.
We don't wanna be that.
That is a lot of kids,
What has been our highest as of this point, 18?
so
We
that's a
like our
concern.
class size
Yeah.
as small as possible.
That's a concern, yeah, our max size, so other words, right now, the way the policy stands.
Yep.
They could staff up, they could place 25 kids per class.
And be in line with policy, that's correct.
That is ridiculous. How do we change that? That is.
That's the
20
board policy, you guys can change it.
Board policy.
That's a lot of kids per class, especially when we're already behind.
What is our average class size now?
We're 18 or below at the elementary school. The lower the better across the board, but we
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
personalized instruction and, you know, we like our numbers right now,
20
we
or
like
less.
to maintain our numbers right now.
Yeah.
We do have a policy committee meeting coming back up. And I just want to clarify that this board just adopted this policy in October of this past year.
Oh, wow.
So you have a policy meeting coming up?
I do.
January 22nd. 18? 22nd.
This was last revised October 10th, so you guys just officially adopted it October 10th.
So policy committee, we all handle that, and then, because there's like 4 procedures that you have to go through to change the policy in an emergency, and I don't know if this right now constitutes an emergency.
No, right.
But, so we should go through the proper chains through your,
Why would it have to go through that? Wouldn't it be through us as a board?
is it, that's a joint board policy, correct?
But
Or is
what if
that-
they don't?
or is that a-
But you still take it to the,
Well, why do they get
joint
to
board
talk about
policy
what we do in our
committee.
school? That's what I'm saying.
Well,
Okay,
Jen,
yeah, let's talk about that. So what did you say? You have to
the
go?
joint, you have a representative on
Yep.
your board.
Yep.
You have one representative from each board that meets for the policy committee.
Yep.
They review policies as a whole. They can make individual suggestions for their own individual district. Then it goes, once the policy committee goes through it, we make sure it's cleaned up, it meets all the standards that the state requires by law. And then it comes back to each individual district individually, and that's where you guys get them as a first read. If your representative or anybody felt that there needed to be a change, it's done at that time and then brought forward to you guys at that time. And that's when you get them as a first read. You guys all get them on your agenda, it's all up to you to take the time to read through them, study them, look them up. Then when it comes back as a second read, if we haven't heard anything from anybody, we're presenting it to you that way, and that's what you guys adopt. When you have it as a first read, that's when you're to look at it, determine if that's what you're in approval of, because your person has already been at the original meeting, or should have been at the original meeting, to make those recommendations at that time.
So when you make a recommendation at the joint board, is there a
The joint board policy committee, it's just the committee.
It's the committee, okay.
Right, the committee, they all talk about it. I know this was one that was talked about it, different people had different ideas, some of the different districts had something different. And so that's the way it went forward as a first read to their individual boards.
But they all have to be the
Procedurally, how
same.
would we change that policy?
At the next joint
At the
board
next
policy
vote.
committee, Jen can say, we wanna look at this again. And then there would be discussion, I would go ahead and prepare it the way she's advising, or the committee as a whole feels that it could be done. If everybody likes that idea, then they all change it that way, as long as it's still within the bounds of the law. And then it comes back to you as a first read on your agenda. You guys get policies as
What
a
if
first
she
read all the
doesn't,
time.
what if they don't agree? What if the
It would
joint?
be your board that would have
No,
to
I know,
agree.
but you said that they present it to the joint board.
I think she just means
Sometimes-
I present what
Yeah.
I'm saying, and if they like
But
it,
not
they
as
can
an
take it to
agreement,
their
so
board.
they can
They're
vote.
not gonna
Yeah,
make a
it's a
decision on
discussion.
Yep,
on
that's what I'm
something.
asking.
Yeah.
Colleen, what are your
Yeah.
average class
Yeah.
sizes right now?
You're gonna have to email me,
Roughly?
you guys
I will
want.
email.
20 or less.
20 or less, absolutely.
We go 18.
Each class.
I mean,
18.
It's already at 18.
no, is it 25?
I mean,
Right, but
I mean,
it's
our
not
regular,
one
average
is
is 18.
But it doesn't mean you have to
And
put
Colleen's saying
25 people in
18.
that class. You're saying at the absolute most, in a worst case scenario, we will not allow more than that number. If they could do less than that, that's what they're already doing.
Right, I
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
but my concern is that if we have a budget where we're looking for money, and they're not gonna go, they're not going to, if we get to 23 kids, they're not gonna go and try to add a teacher, they're gonna put 23 kids in a class to try to save money if we're looking for 400,000.
Yeah, right, so we should probably change that
So what we
before
need
the
to not
budget.
do is look for 400,000.
Let's vote around.
True. You just need to support the budget, get the voters to pass it, and you don't have that problem.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
Well, I don't know what to say about that. I mean,
I don't know how, $400,000 will impact staffing. I don't, there's only, our supply accounts and our other accounts won't add up anywhere near $400,000. So if we don't pass our budget, there will be people who lose their jobs.
And it's not a pick and choose situation where we could just say, oh, we think you should remove this person, and you say.
No, and it would, our
it's
class
usually
size
seniority
policy
based.
would mean that we would have to look at that and say that it would affect class sizes. I can't think of, it's a significant, $400,000 is a lot.
So it's more than it was when the budget got voted down a few years ago, because that was 250, and we lost an extra preschool bus, and I don't remember exactly what else, but that was a big deal. So,
I'm not having this conversation.
all that to say, classroom structures, can we have information on what you said, on ideas, things that you're already putting in place, what are you doing? How are those
But I
things
think it needs to involve what the plan is for classrooms that involve disruptions. There's got to be a plan of action. There's gotta be a plan of action that if we have students, that they gotta have warnings, second time, teacher sends them to the office, third time, I mean, there's gotta be something in place where where those issues are being addressed, because for some reason, those are the elephant in the room that nobody wants to address. We can have 10,000 different classes with 10,000 different students, but if you still have students in there disrupting, and nobody wants to address that issue, nothing is going to change.
I can give you all the suspension rates by month, I can categorize it by why they're suspended. We had a real big bump in October because literally, in conversation with Mike and staff, it's like, I'm not gonna tolerate a kid telling me, no, I'm not giving you the cell phone. So I give you it by category, I can give you lunch detentions, I have that information that probably would be a little lengthier conversation than we're gonna have right now.
I can't
and-
obviously mention names, but
And, nor can I.
the fistfights in this school are
And
worse than they were a year ago.
I
And it's the same kids.
can't speak to that.
I know you can't. That's the problem, is that you can't speak to it, but you also can't do anything about it because these certain people, it's gotta go in front of somebody else to get approval. So,
I will say that we are doing things about it. We are taking action, and I'm happy to have a conversation about, what that looks like from grade level to grade level to address concerns. And, when people email me and call me, or maybe email you and maybe don't email me, like, it's secondhand to me, so I guess I would need them to email me and let me know, and I have had conversations with parents about that. And while I can't say to them, here's what I'm doing, I will tell them there's a consequence, Can't really get into it, just like I would not tell anyone, if your child had a consequence, what that was. All I can say is, there's a consequence. And we're
if
doing
my child was getting in a fight with somebody every day, I can promise you that I wouldn't have a problem with you bringing my child into a room with me and that other parent, because I'd make my child apologize. I think the biggest problem, and I think that Samantha nailed it, was that we use this privacy thing as, because I know that I was in a fight in school, and my mother was brought in with me and the parent of the girl in the room, and there was never a problem again. But we have the same students that are in a fight, and the parents are being told, we can't give you the information on the other student, but the parents also not being told the student also has assaulted 5 other kids in the last 3 months. So we have students that technically would probably never get into trouble, but they're into trouble all the time because they're sick and tired of this one student riding them and riding them and riding them, because these students know that they are going to have no consequences. And administration says, well, we can't discuss who it is. And meanwhile, you find out that this person's already been in fights 4 or 5 times this month. And I feel like I'm just the first reporter.
I have a question for administration about the advisory block period. Are they doing like social emotional learning in this advisory period, and what program are they using?
They're using Caring Schools, which I sent out in one of my weekly emails.
Yep.
We had training with all the staff. We also had training with EAs. It's really about goal setting and probably life skills. How do you problem solve? How do you collaborate with people? We also ask teachers. Part of that is, goal setting for NEWA, for SAS.
Was this teacher input provided in picking the programs?
They voted.
They did?
Yeah.
How come Firefly, the one or whatever one that the elementary school that we are using, wasn't an option?
It was an option. It was a costly option.
But I guess what I don't understand is, why isn't there any continuity from the elementary to the middle school with this, using the same program?
I guess it cost $7,700.
But that also wasn't brought to the board for an option to help make that impact either, and I think that the continuity from going from elementary to middle school would have been a good suggestion, because I don't think that's I had teachers come to me talking about how they had filled out the Google form thing, and that the general consensus was, oh, the elementary school is using the Firefly program or whatever it is, and that it was brought up that they should use the Circles program, and that Mary wanted the Circles program and not the Firefly program.
We-
Because the
we-
board wouldn't approve the extra funding.
We did say it was gonna be cut, cause Brian brought it up at budget, and it was like, this is the last year it was gonna be able to be used due to the cost of it. Never was it said that we should use circles because Mary wants it. We gave them options, we had a discussion with admin council, we said this is free versus, you know, trying to figure out how over 3 years, was it 3 years now? 3 years.
Then why was Firefly even an option on there? If
We wanted to give them the 3 options, we said it is costly, I don't know where we're gonna come up with the money if we have to cut it. So we did tell them was continuity with the elementary school, we were pretty transparent about that, we met with the admin council about that. We did say half of you were trained in restorative justice in the previous administration, some are trained, some aren't trained. We trained some people this year, I don't know how we did it last year, to be honest with you. At the end of the day, the programs are pretty similar in terms of what the expectation is in an advisory program, is that you set goals, you talk about, you know, things that are going on in the classroom, you give kids skills that they need to be able to collaborate, to learn how to get along with their peers.
Why does this trump their core education where their proficiency levels are down at 8-10% and their reading levels are so far behind? I guess why are we having an additional 20 minutes or half hour in their day when they need this core support?
I would say that every middle school in the SAU has an advisory, cause I canvassed all the principals. I said, hey, do you have an advisory? What do you use? I know they have an advisory block or a warrior block. I don't know what they call it at the high school.
Yeah, they call it warrior.
And previous to me coming, they had it. I don't think they
But
didn't
are
have
these
it
schools
last
as low
year.
as we are in our proficiency levels? Because I guess that's my concern, that like our kids are so far behind that I feel like we need to be ramping the academics up versus focusing on the social emotional learning.
I agree.
Because like, it's clear that the parents have been bringing that to our attention since, I don't know, as long as I've been coming to these board meetings before I was even on the board. And it's quite clear that that's a huge concern, so I guess I just don't understand why we spend an additional 30 minutes out of their 60-minute day on this when they could be spending more time on academics.
I think the challenge is we need everything. The challenge is that our students need the expectation and the routine of how do we treat each other, what does that look like, so that they're behaving in the class, and how we treat each other, cooperate, and we need the reading, and we need the math. What we ultimately what we really probably need is more time in a day where, you know, that's where we're going with our extended tutoring, and we're bringing them in clubs, and we're trying to get the data last longer.
Accountability and some
'cause we need
repercussions
more
for their
time.
actions.
I think when we look at the budget, it's hard because it looks like things is this versus that. The reality is we probably need everything. We need all of the things we're asking for, and we need more time so that we can get through the students. And, you know, I was in a similar situation when I started halfway through the year at the elementary school. We had a core schedule that wasn't working for students, and we had to change our schedule in January of my first year because it wasn't meeting the needs of students. And a word that one of the teachers gave me at the time was, things are splintered. You know, and what my job was to do is to try to figure out how to unsplinter that. And working with Lauren and our teachers, we have the best teachers. We just had a system that wasn't working for them, and it wasn't working for our kids. And so over the last year, we've introduced Boost Block, which is our win. It's the idea that everybody is going to be boosted. We're challenging all students and changing the mindset that we're not just aiming for the middle. We're pushing everybody forward. And it took us two years to get there. We started with learning intervention, and we brought in a core phonics program, which is consistent now all the way through our school, which we'll see. I got a text message from the kindergarten team. 91% of the students in kindergarten are where they need to be right now, based on the ones that have been assessed. They've made the progress for Module 1 and Foundation. We're getting there.
Do you know what that number was before you started this program?
Not good. You know, we're catching up, and so
Specifically.
we're training our teachers as fast as we can, and the reading is one piece of it, and then on top of it, we brought in a core math program, which is gonna take time to get traction, and so all of our arrows are becoming to move in the right direction. But it's hard when you join in a schedule with a ship that's already going one direction. because it wasn't a good, the elementary school isn't a really good direction, or going in a good direction, but things were splintered. And our teachers are working as hard as they can to catch kids up.
I think my concern is mostly 7th and 8th grade, again.
So this question isn't, not that you're important, I don't want you. So my question really wouldn't be for the elementary, so I guess for the middle, what would the feedback be if we had not put an advisory block in for 25 minutes and we extended all the core subject classes? What would have the feedback been with the teachers? Would that have been a positive thing?
I mean,
Would they have been okay with that, or would
I don't
there?
wanna speak for them. I know they had it before it came, they didn't have it last year. It's
Didn't have
20 minutes.
No, I mean, so, yeah, all right, so they had, what do we have, Flex?
Oh gosh, it was
And
either
we had-
RAM or
we had
Power
three
Query.
different-
Okay, so,
We used-
okay, we had three, so my question is that what would the feedback be if we had gotten rid of the, kept the one intervention block that we have, and we had extended the core subjects, because I do know the 5th graders, you guys have UA twice a week, some of you guys have gym twice a week,
We
which,
have twice a day.
that is ridiculous. You know what, I can't talk about that, I can't even go there, because to me, that blows my mind. But anyway, why?
Yeah, that is.
Cause they have 4 teachers, not 5.
Okay,
Everybody else has 5. So in order to fill that period, if you wanna give us another teacher, that would be great. So every team has 5 teachers.
Yeah.
Except 5th grade, they have 4.
okay,
So they need to fill in that block.
So the 5th teacher though, for the other ones, that's.
so basically.
So one has FAST, one has library media, one has Spanish.
Yeah.
5th grade, for some reason, I don't know why, doesn't have that person attached. So in order to fill in the block, so teachers can have planning time, there could be vertical,
They do have plenty
and
of time.
kids have a unified art period, they needed another person, so we cycled the UA people to
I mean,
fill
I already
out the
reached out.
schedule.
Yeah, I already reached out to you about that, so you know. But
Yeah.
yes, I had the same concerns, it's the
Okay,
same
okay,
question.
I can't answer that question about the 20 minutes, I could certainly canvass the teachers and ask them about that. In an ideal situation, when you don't have to share a space, forgive me, and like a gym and a cafeteria, and that factors into how you block out periods of time for 5 classrooms, because we share the gym, we
Yep.
share the cafeteria, we have like a common space for recess. So when you're trying to tweak out minutes and make it equitable, which
Yep.
is what you want. I mean, I don't want 5th grade to have 43 minutes and then 6th grade has 49. I mean, we want it equitable, like to run a middle school efficiently has to be equitable, 5 to 8. It wasn't equitable.
no,
I mean, we had to cover somebody so they could go to a planning period in 5th grade because we didn't have that person. So
Yeah.
when we looked at it, we said, what's the first thing we need to do is get rid of flex, get rid of ice, get rid of win, because nobody was winning, and for a solid period of time, maybe when kids have intervention meeting them where they're at. So I can't answer if they didn't have 20 minutes advisory. I think advisory is important, but that's obviously my bias. I think you need to meet with kids and goal set and talk about how
I mean,
we
I think
cut-
I think advisory and programs like that are I would say they should be a plus, that if you're where you need to be, proficiency-wise, that's fabulous, like, it never hurts for improvement, but I think that and if the other schools do it, I think they're at a point in a
They all
situation.
do it.
I think they should be able to do that, because they're proficiency-wise, they're where they need to be. There's no concerns with their schooling. You look at their scores, and that's why a lot of them can't understand why Seabrook's looking to pull out of the SAU 21, because they can't see where we're coming from because they're not with us. So I think that when you are in a school and everything, parents are happy and the students are thriving and there is good behaviors and kids do look forward to going to school, and I'm not saying they don't here, I'm just saying, I think when you're in a place where you need to be academically, that those things are a plus. But again, focusing back on the 7th and 8th graders, when you're hearing, or even 6th graders, because it goes fast, when you're hearing, and I'm not trying to take away that it's a positive thing, I think it's amazing that we got rid of the wasted blocks, but when you're looking at 25 minutes every day of an advisory period, but we're still trying to figure out how we're going to get these kids ready for high school when they're already so far behind. I mean, I don't wanna be negative, but I asked, what did you guys do in advisory today? We threw bean bags, we got into line according to shortest to tallest, and then we all just picked a partner and talked about how we can be a good partner with each other. That's awesome. That's awesome if everybody can get together 25 minutes a day, and I guess it's the same thing as a business.
You can't afford that time, is what you're saying.
If you're running a business and you're not making money, your boss isn't gonna let you have a little meet and greet every morning with coffee and cupcakes. They're gonna say, you know what, when you get to work, it's your butt at your desk, we need to make some money. If you're where you need to be as far as making money, then we can add some good things in. Again, I'm gonna go back and say it for the 50th time, I think that we wouldn't need these blocks if we held students accountable all the same, at the same level of the same punishment according to what they're doing. Because then you're gonna see the behaviors improve. You're not gonna see, okay, well, the behaviors over here are doing better, but the behaviors over here are out of control. You're gonna see everything even out if everybody's treated the same. And then you're not gonna need these blocks where they get, because I was told from a kid that one of the kids with the biggest issues don't even go to advisory. Because he can't behave. And I'm like, okay, so we're having advisory to help these kids all get together. Meanwhile, the ones that have the problems aren't in advisory because they can't get along. I think we need to skip the advisory, add more class subjects, and maybe just start holding parents and kids accountable.
Surveys?
If you guys are okay with that, I think we should go to the cell phone.
Okay.
Because if not, we're gonna go home at 10 o'clock.
So we're skipping the next two items.
Yeah. If anybody needs to see correspondence received, it's on. I don't know why that's on there, because I didn't ask for that, I have no idea. They just picked that for the day, I guess. Because I email everything every day, so I don't know why that one's on there.
The rest of your books.
88 pages?
Cell phone.
Oh, yes, of course it is.
Is it what?
88 pages.
Cell phone.
I'm glad I respond to emails.
Sorry, go ahead.
The cell phone handbook.
For anyone who thinks I don't respond, 88 pages emails.
Alright, so, new business, cell phone handbook. What would you like to discuss with the cell phone policy?
Okay, so I asked for that to be put on there because I've had staff stating that there's a huge addiction to cell phones apparently in the middle school. Students leave the room with their cell phone, they go in the bathroom, they're caught in the bathroom with their cell phone. Apparently it's more girls than boys,
I don't know, Aiden called me the other day from class and I was like, why are you on your cell phone? And nothing happened to him. He
Yeah.
should have got his cell phone taken away, or it shouldn't have been out in the first place.
So their phones are on the desk.
They shouldn't be.
So their phone should be in the parking lot, which teachers have, so we give them the option, I believe I forwarded this to you guys. We, gave you the option
The
to put it in
policies.
the parking lot, teachers have little parking lots for phone. Or keep it in their locker, or keep it on their person, but the only time they're supposed to use it is if the teacher is, cause sometimes teachers use it like in class. In speaking to Mr. Bombardier, cause I didn't know what happened last year, he said there's less issues with cell phones this year than last year. I'm
There's
pretty,
definitely an improvement, I'll tell you
we're
that.
pretty clear with, my first negative interaction with the student was over a cell phone, and I asked her to give it to me, and she said, yeah, I'm not giving it to you, and I said, well, easy way, hard way, put it on my desk, you can get it later, or I can call your house, call my house. I appreciate all the parent support, by the way, 'cause cell phones, social media, Snapchat is, problematic in any middle school and
Absolutely.
problematic, here at Seabrook, so we're no different than anybody else. Mom said, give her a phone, she took the phone, slammed it down, and now she greets me every day at lunch and talks to me like, so we're very clear on, you know, don't be using it, don't take it outside, we've had kids delete videos, we've taken videos. It's not okay. I will
agree
tell
with
you
you.
honestly, you can count on one hand how many kids have cell phone addictions. We've asked parents to either leave them at home, or, you know, we have a guidance counselor takes a cell phone from one student.
Do you feel like you're getting parent support in that?
I 100% thank all the parents who have spoken to us, or to Mike, or to any teacher, 100% getting parent support.
Okay.
Well, that's
I
good to hear,
just- I
because
heard there's some teachers in Moline
I
who
think,
cannot, so
I mean,
that's
there
good.
should be no cell phones in classroom, like, I guess if they have them in their lockers, and I know everyone's big fear factor is all the stuff that's ever happened in schools, but like, we have literal safety plans for all of this, like, I don't see, there should be no reason for anyone to be on their cell phone inside of this school. And
So,
it's-
I mean, I do tell parents, every teacher has a cell phone. If we have an emergency, they're gonna use their phone. We have phones in classrooms, we have walkie-talkies all over the building.
Completely agree.
There really is no need unless they're gonna use it for something, cause I know, like, some teachers have done projects where they have to like download music or listen to things,
I would,
it's not,
I would suggest that we have parents that will come to the board meetings and talk about like, the Chromebook, but they sending the kids to school with cell phones, like, it's a double-edged sword, like, I don't think anything a teacher should be doing should be like, here, get your cell phone out, like, they have Chromebooks, we have all sorts of other, like, devices that can be used, like, the Snapchat addiction, the Facebook, the bullying that goes on over cell phones, the running to the, like, all they care about is this, like, this is, like, people's lives, and, which is a huge reason why people aren't learning, cause it's a distraction. They're Snapchatting their friends to bully somebody, to make fun of somebody else, and then it's not like back in the day when we were all kids, where if you got bullied at school, you went home to your family, and you were left alone. Now, it completely follows you, because it's literally geotagged in your pocket, buzzing with all of the kids from their grade making fun of everybody. Like, it is terribly sad, and I think there should be a absolute, like, no cell phone policy in the classroom. Like, if you gotta take it, you gotta take it. The parent can come pick it up, and when they have to come, pick up their kid's cell phone because they're breaking the rules, that's on the child. It's not your fault, it's not the teacher's fault. This is a rule.
the
And
teachers
honestly,
are really good about
it's a
collecting.
safety rule,
Yeah.
because these kids are now getting harassed and bullied and care more about what's going on Snapchat than the kids can't read, is what we've been told a million times, but they can read their Snapchat stories and they can send nasty messages to each other. Like, this is insanity, that the amount of kids that are walking around with cell phones and then Snapchatting their friends and doing all, like, I am for a no cell phone policy. I do understand that there are some medical issues that people might have to check a blood sugar
Yes.
with for a very small portion, but there is, are phones being written into people's IEPs if they need their cell phones?
Not that I'm aware.
Okay.
Unless
Like,
it's medical.
listen,
Go down
because,
There are lots of
no,
There are
because-
apps with diabetics specifically.
Yes, no,
There are apps.
100%,
Well,
that is
and they
a,
will
that is
track
a medical app.
Right, exactly.
That's the only excuse I could see, as long, like, I just wanted to make sure that, like,
You would love to see.
there was not
I mean, I
a,
will tell you, like, Friday, mother come in, let me show you the Snapchat. I was like, okay, it happened on Saturday. And somebody else showed me like a text that was sent that happened like at 9:30 on a Thursday night. I mean, like, so
That's
it's,
outside of school hours, that's the parent's problem.
Exactly.
well,
But
I,
it
in-
filters into school,
well,
no
it
matter
started-
what.
So, yeah,
No, I know, but I'm saying, like, why is she being bothered with this?
it,
you
yeah,
have
it
no
comes in,
idea.
I think a zero, so like, I will support any single teacher, administrator, EA, whichever acronym falls after your name of taking a kid's cell phone away for using it in class or on the inside the school buildings during school hours, like that should be like higher level of discipline, because if they can't go a day without it, like we have so many other issues. So you
teacher's
have
really
the board
good.
support on like take this away, lock them up, and if the parent, you can give it back to them at the end of the day, or if they've already
We've done
had
that.
2 or 3 strikes, have the parent come and pick
We've
it up.
done that.
Because these things, and I know it from, again, coaching, it's caused nothing but problems. There's a bunch of 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders having cellular devices with the internet, and it's an absolute
Without the
downfall
brain
of
capacity
society.
to-
It's like, it drives me bonkers, but I support whatever we can do to keep
I
cell
second that
phones.
motion.
So that's nice.
All in favor, aye.
So I guess that, I mean, I guess the real conversation is what,
I'm so glad that I got his attention tonight.
I know, right? That. What
Had my
can we
attention
do?
earlier.
What can we change, what can we adjust?
You're the one that had it.
How best do you,
You guys put me over the edge.
is there,
I mean, that's a
Anytime.
handbook issue, which we've already talked about revising the handbook.
and it says not permitted during the school day.
I
It
think
says
that, I
prior
think that
permission.
verbiage in there is perfect.
So it's a
It
matter
says
of.
everything that it needs to say.
Yeah.
Create a fraction.
It's
So it's a
pretty
matter of
clear.
And your
Yeah.
support, thanks for your support.
Yeah. Definitely.
And I would say 99% of parents are like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I get very little pushback. And I said, listen, with all due respect, put it on my desk, no one's coming in my office. No one's gonna touch the phone.
We also at the elementary school put out a number of times the smartwatches where kids go in and call their parents in the bathroom.
Excuse me, in elementary school, smartwatches?
I need help
Yeah,
on the playground, Mom. Anyways, so, you know, we've also put that in our newsletter a number of times, that, you know, it's the devices, it's that we get the carryover from the video games, from the rec, from everything, it all comes back here, and if it, we sort that stuff out every day, so.
So do we need a
Bust
policy
the,
about
bust the cell phone,
what
Apple Watches in
Apple
kindergarten?
Watches do?
And we include it as a device.
Access will come and collect any cell phones from anybody throughout the day that you don't need
We'll
to.
put my Marine Corps uniform back on, I'll go to war against cell phones.
Oh, God.
But seriously,
Bring
I
the
think it's real clear you have our support in enforcing that rule and policy.
I just brought it up because I was told that.
She just heard it, yeah, to the degree.
No, I just wanted to talk about it, so that's definitely one that I gotta take her out there.
All right, let's
Okay, SAU 21 Operations Committee is Thursday, January 18th. That's
I
me.
believe it is.
That's me. January 18th. No, yes.
I'm your
Okay.
alternate.
Policy Committee is January 22nd. Jen will be proposing or just talking about our
Class size.
adjusted class sizes, okay?
Got it.
Joint board meeting is January 29th. That's everybody. Seabrook School Board meeting and deliberative session is Monday, February 5th, and that would be at,
If you want a formal presentation, that's not the night to do it.
No, definitely not.
So,
oh, right, yes. Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
no.
just for clarity, you can talk to Meredith about how you set up the agenda, but I wouldn't schedule a formal presentation for delivery
Right.
on
No, but I
class
do want to get
structures.
clarification on that warrant article too. Do you know anything about the warrant article? About the wording of the warrant article, if that's, you probably don't know.
The wording on
So the warrant article for the social worker at the bottom where it says the school board has made a recommendation, we actually didn't do a vote to do a recommendation.
We recommend it by making the article.
Right, that's
Yeah.
not what the recommendation on the warrant article stands for. So when you make a recommendation, the recommendation on the warrant article is not the recommendation of putting it on the warrant article. It has to be a separate vote that the board is recommending voters to support the position. I called the state and I found out, and I also talked to
That's
them.
what we do for the,
Matt did mention
Sacred
that.
Heart.
Yeah, so that
It's not on
recommendation,
the, it's
that
not on
we
the
did a motion
agenda
for Sacred Heart.
for this evening, so.
okay, well,
It's.
the warrant articles need to be turned into the town.
You would need to first add it to the agenda, I believe, if you're gonna discuss it.
Well, he knew that it needed to be discussed because he knows that it's not supposed to be on there because we did not, so he has something on a warrant article that is not a true statement. So,
Well, he's not here to answer that.
no, I know, but he said that it wasn't put on the agenda, but I still need to
The
know.
only thing he mentioned to us was that the board may want to add an agenda item about the warrant article, but I'm not sure what it is that they wanna add, so that's what
He
he
knows.
shared with us. But there's
I know,
not,
he knows.
there's not on, it's not on the agenda, that's all he shared with
Yeah.
us.
Does that need to be settled by the fifth?
It needs to be settled before it gets turned into the town, because we did not make a vote recommending that
What?
position. We made a recommendation that it gets put on the warrant article. But the clause in the bottom where it says recommended by the school board, that does not mean it was recommended by us to be put on the warrant article. It means there has to be a separate vote stating whether or not we as a board recommend taxpayers to support that position.
Because when we did the Sacred
it should
Heart
just
one,
read, it should
It should
just read
say school
that-
board members did not recommend
it should,
because,
it should say nothing. on
well,
the
you
bottom
can't,
line.
you have to have a
You have to have
recommendation or
Well,
not.
and it wouldn't be a did not or not until the vote is taken.
Right,
No
but we
matter what
didn't
talked about
do it
for
yet, so
anything else. Okay.
it
There's
needs
a-
to be corrected.
There's a solution.
Yeah.
So you would take a motion to amend your agenda
Okay.
to add this,
That's
to
what I
add
was
this
trying to say.
segment,
Thank you.
right?
I
And
make
then
a-
you're gonna make another motion that says, the school board votes to not recommend the warrant
Not
article.
recommend.
Correct.
Okay.
And then vote on that, and then you're kosher. That's the solution.
Okay,
Okay.
I make a motion to amend the agenda to add
Okay, so
verbiage for warrant article.
wait for Ron. Then, are you with us? Verbiage.
Verbiage.
It is.
Verbiage.
What's he saying?
it's spelled
So you wanna amend to it,
amend the agenda.
Amend the agenda to
add a discussion.
to add the warrant article
About
discussion.
I'm way too tired for this.
right now, because, anybody seconding that?
Yes, I will, Michelle will.
All in favor?
Did you get
Unanimous. Yeah.
Oh, you did second.
No, it's just second the motion.
Yeah, yeah.
To amend the agenda.
I'm confused.
Yeah, she seconded, so now the vote on the, approve the amended agenda.
So what you've done is you've made a motion to amend the agenda to add the topic of the
Yes.
warrant
So
article.
it's on there.
So now we
Now,
can talk
we've
about
got
it.
the warrant article on here, and what is the discussion?
So now we can discuss the warrant article.
Whether we.
Okay, so originally the warrant article was placed on the budget, proposed in the budget. And then we found out that it was a position that could possibly be put on a warrant article for taxpayers,
Yeah.
which we did.
Now we have to.
Now we have to vote whether or not we feel taxpayers should
Recommend,
recommend the position for $154,000.
yes.
I'm not making a motion that we recommend it, that's just me. So I don't know if I'm supposed to make a motion that we don't recommend it, or someone needs to make a recommendation.
I make a motion that we don't recommend it.
So you should always make
You can do it that
motions in the positive.
Okay, that's still not anyways, right?
So,
That's the purpose of a motion is to move forward.
we have to take the vote on the,
Recommendation.
Okay.
so,
Can we do it as a vote without a motion? Is it a vote situation like we did when we talked
No, it has to
about
be a motion, you have to vote on it.
child services?
I actually,
You have to,
So for Sacred Heart, we usually said whether we supported or didn't support it, like for other warrant articles, right? So
Yeah.
we could technically say that.
motion to not, yeah, probably motion to not support the warrant article. I mean, I'll clarify it with the attorney or somebody tomorrow on how it actually needs to be written, but essentially the gist is what you're saying. You want this to appear as a warrant article for the voters to approve, but you don't want it listed saying the board approves this. Is that?
we wanna take
That's
the, we
my-
wanna
that's
take, we,
my
yeah, we
vote.
wanna take the vote on that warrant article of approve
Because I
or
think it's
disapprove for the
misleading.
voters. So that they can see what the numbers look like, if it's a board approved, if it's not approved by the board. Or recommended, I mean,
Yes.
cause the warrant article is approved to be on there.
Yes.
Correct.
right, but that's not what the recommendation is. The recommendation is,
I'd rather see it out than
Yeah.
crash the entire budget.
Agree.
so are we waiting for a motion?
Yeah, go make one.
Which is, yeah, take it.
So,
Oh, I did, and she said we can't.
Motion to have the warrant article on the ballot for the voters to approve. The board recommends for the warrant article to simply appear on the ballot but not be listed as board approved.
Right, but it has to have, so
It
according to
has
the,
to have one or the other, so we
according
can-
to the state, it has to say.
Right, so I will find out exactly what this needs to say.
So according to the state, they said it has to have either school board recommends or school board does not recommend. That has to be listed on a warrant article. Right now,
Right.
it's listed as the school board recommends, but the recommendation that is on there
They can't leave it in.
is based on us putting it on the warrant article, and that's not what the recommendation is supposed to stand
It's
for.
not clear if they don't take it off.
So you're simply recommending for the warrant article to appear on the ballot, but not as
We've already done that.
recommended.
Yeah, we've
We've already
already
done that.
But we need to make a motion whether we recommend it or not
We
recommend.
basically
The
need to vote
position.
on our recommendation, what
Right.
we recommend.
So that's why I said I make a recommendation that the board does not recommend the position. But you said we shouldn't start off as a negative, so I'm not sure.
How we move forward.
I think it's safer just to say not, make a motion to not recommend,
That's what I'm
The board
doing.
does
and
not
then vote on
recommend.
that.
And
and
then
go
She
carry.
just changed it.
Yeah.
She did?
I think she understands the whole thing. It's-
And
Yeah, I think she's.
everybody is very
doubly
clear
covered.
about what you guys are doing.
Yes.
Right.
You're not,
I mean, I'm clear on it, yes.
And like at the bottom of the warrant, you want it to say, where
Yeah.
we'll say budget committee approves and board approves.
Yeah.
Right.
Then it was the
Or
vote
disapproves,
5-0.
yes.
Yes, I see, yes. I
So
know
Kelly
exactly
made that motion.
what you mean.
I made a motion that we don't recommend.
Okay.
You
Second,
don't recommend the warrant article,
No, I don't,
No, the motion,
the board doesn't recommend the position.
okay?
right,
Recommend the
it's already
position.
been,
Okay,
Not saying vote.
Staring at me for it.
Literally staring at my face.
Pat seconded it. And then all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
5-0, 4-0,
4 to 1.
4-1.
And for clarification, I mean that I do recommend.
too many double negatives.
That's a lot.
I can't speak English.
Alright, so a motion for a roll call to enter non-public. I'll make a motion for a roll call to enter non-public session under RSA 91A32,
B,
what?
B.
B at 8:14 PM.
Second. Oh, roll call.
Michelle, I need a roll call on this.
Yeah.
Michelle, she needs you to say
I
yes
told you to
first.
speak.
Just say yes.
We need to have a roll call on this.
Yeah.
Non-public is really needs a roll call. And who was the second on this?
I did. Second.
Christina?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Kelly?
yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Okay, you are now in non-public at 8:14.
Okay,